Hey everyone, it's Emily, welcome back on my channel. Today's video is going to be a try chapter tag. I did one last month about popular YA books and I enjoyed it. I feel like it helped me and I've been in such a reading slump that I decided, you know what, let's do it again because I never know which book to pick up. So reading the first chapter of 5 different books and then choosing the one that I want to continue reading and then doing so and reviewing it at the end of the video, I feel like it should help me a little bit. So today I chose 5 books that are all sci-fi books because I've been in a really sci-fi mood lately. So I decided to pick up 5 books that I have been intrigued to read and then just do it. So let's do this. First book is We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. And I've heard so many people talk about this book. All I know is that it is a YA sci-fi, obviously. You're following a young boy who is having a lot of problems in his life, and then in between those problems, he's being abducted by aliens, or so it says. So I'm intrigued, so let's read the first chapter and I will let you know how I feel about it. I didn't check how many pages there were before for the first chapter, but that was 5 pages, so very, very short. But in those 5 pages, totally convinced me that I absolutely need to read this book this month for sure because super interesting, very teenager, it is YA, but like that teenage angst, but in a good way. Sometimes I feel like it's done poorly, but this time I'm liking this. The first sentence is literally, life is bullshit. So, I mean, I should do a full video about like my favorite first sentences in a book, the ones that made me want to read the book. This will be added to that pile for sure. So this, I'm excited to read this. I'm definitely doing that. So we're gonna leave it right here. Voila. Now, second book. I mean, you can't talk about sci-fi books without talking about The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. I have never read this book. I know. I also have no freaking clue what it's about. I know it's sci-fi and I know it's like supposed to be really, really funny, but let me read the first chapter, which, let me check how long that one is because I completely forgot to do so in the first one. Oh, it's 19 pages, so it's pretty long for a book of like 200 pages. So I'll be able to decide if I want to read this or not. Well, that was confusing. I read the first 19 pages, so the first chapter, and you're following one man that he just realized the day before that his house would be demolished and he's protesting against it, and then one of his friends, who is an alien, is coming there and just convincing the guy with the bulldozer to not do it until they come back from the pub. I'm really, really confused. I don't know if it's the one I'm gonna go for today. It's a pretty old book actually, like 37 years old or something? 37 years old? 38? So, I don't know. I'm very confused with it. The first chapter did not really help me decide what to do with it. I definitely want to read it eventually, but like, I'm confused. Next, I have been meaning to read this series for a while now, so might as well read the first chapter of Three Body Problem by Xingxing Liu. I probably butchered that name. This is a very popular sci-fi in China. It was translated and I've heard so many people rave about this. I don't know much. I just know that basically aliens come to our world too, and from the first book, I feel like usually it's the last book of a series where you're finally seeing aliens, so it's nice that the first book is you're already at that point. I've been really intrigued by this book, so let's read the first chapter, which has 22 pages. Actually, it doesn't start at number 1, so a little less than 22 pages. It's more like 13, which, ooh, little part chapters thingy. They look really cute. Okay, so I will see you in a little bit. I'm gonna go read the first chapter. Okay, so all I knew about this book was the fact that there was aliens coming and meeting up humans in the first book of the series. That's like all I knew. And I didn't realize how like political and like almost like historical it is. So it's usually not my cup of tea. And if it wasn't for me having to read the first chapter, I don't even know if I would have continued. But I'm glad I did because at the end, like after like a page or two, I was like, eh. But then I ended up enjoying the read. And I can definitely see myself continuing, but it's like not very sci-fi right now. So I'm like, so in the mood to finish it right now. but still intrigued, and I definitely want to continue. Next book is going to be Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. It's a sci-fi book where there's a girl that falls through like a crack or something, and she ends up waking up in like the hand of like a giant metallic hand. Is it alien? Is it a robot? I don't know. So I'm going to be reading the first chapter. I don't know. Well, I mean, that's going to be the chapter. I guess there is a prologue that's like 2 pages, and then this, which seems to be a chapter. So I'm going to be reading 18 pages, maybe. Again, it starts at like 9. So like it's like 9 pages, and I will let you know what I think about it. Okay, so I read the first chapter in the prologue of Sleeping Giants, and I have to say, I think it's the book that I'm gonna go with unless the next one beats it. I think this is exactly what I need right now. It's kind of fast-paced, kind of easy to read. It's basically interviews. You can probably see here. So I think that's gonna be something that is really good for me. But so far I'm liking it, obviously, since it's the one that I want to read. You're following the girl that fell into that hand that is later on in her life. She's a scientist, and she ends up having to find out what is that hand. It's not from here, so it means aliens. And basically you learn that the content of the hand could not even be like made here anyway. So I am interested. I think this is gonna be the one, but I have one more to go. I have been wanting to read this book for a while because so many people mentioned that if you love sci-fi, you absolutely need to read this book/series, Hyperion by Dan Simmons, and I've been wanting to read it. I don't know anything about it. Once again, I'll have to go into books not knowing too much. So let's see how long the first chapter is. Oh, there's also a little prologue, so that's good, means more pages. You can make a decision. Okay, so apparently it's parts. I was like, uh-oh, like I'm not reading like 100 pages, so I'm gonna set it to this part because there seem to be some type of like division. So we're gonna go till there. It means I need to read the first like 25 pages-ish, so I will see you in a little bit. So I read the first chapter, even though there doesn't seem to have any chapter in here. So the first like 25 pages, and ooh, that was confusing. This seems like a very like high fantasy series, and the first chapter won't explain that much, won't make things very clear. So if I'm not wrong, there is a different like alien race, whatever, coming to kill people, and there's a group of 7 people that are sent to that planet to pilgrim to the time, how's it called? To a specific place. And they decide that they will each tell their stories as they go because it's going to take a few days. So, I mean, it seems super intriguing. I'm interested, but I feel like it's probably too intense of a read for me right now. Plus, it would definitely make me practice my English, which I'm just not in the right place right now for. So, I believe I'm gonna have to go with, I think I'm gonna go with Sleeping Giants, but I definitely want to still read this month. We Are at the Ends. So I shall continue this book, and I will review it soon for you, for me in a couple of days. But I just wanted to talk about the dedication because I was laughing when I saw it. It says, "À Théodore, maintenant on va t'apprendre à lire et l'anglais." And if I translate it, it means, now we're gonna teach you how to read and English. So yeah, I will see you in a few days. Okay, so we're just a few days later. I read this book so freaking quickly, and I wanted to give you a little bit more of an idea of what it's about, a little bit of a quick review. And I mean, since I read it this quickly, you can already tell that I really liked it. I am giving it a 4.5 stars, which to me is really, really high. I mean, for pretty much anyone, that's high. And it's funny because as much as I didn't like how World War Z was all like interviews, I really like this one. It read so quickly because of it. It's all interviews pretty much, and like there's a couple like just journal entry. It's like a new favorite book for sure. I feel like a lot of people that liked Illuminae, which was a YA sci-fi, should give this one a try. It's definitely the adult version. They're not even really similar except that they're both sci-fi, but I don't know, that's the vibe I'm getting. So from what I said in the beginning, at this point we're like 17 years later, and that scientist is now trying to find all the other hands all the other hands, all the other parts of the giant robot all over the planet, and it's super interesting. I really enjoyed it, and you basically figure out like aliens, maybe? You're not sure why, and they have to figure out how it works, and then there's obviously a lot of political intrigue of like, well, I mean, if you're just gonna fly over the top of other countries, it's gonna start a lot of shit. And they had to figure out how to find those pieces and how they react to what, and I don't know, I don't want to say too much because it is so quick to read that I feel like pretty much anything and everything could be considered a spoiler, but I would just wanted to say that if you are into sci-fi, whether it's YA or adult, even though it's adult, I don't feel like it read this hard. Like, it's definitely a great step from YA to adult. And since it's a trilogy, I believe, there's a second book that I'm going to be reading ASAP. I really enjoyed myself. I definitely recommend it. I feel like this is like such a quick, poor review, but I mean, the book was so short. It's 300 pages, but 300 pages of interview reads pretty much like it was like, what, 200 pages? So I don't want to say more than this, then read it. If you like sci-fi, this is just something I would highly recommend you do so. And I don't think I had shown the cover, but look how pretty that is. Like, I love whenever they take the time to create a really pretty cover, even though it's underneath. I can't wait to see where the series goes. Are we gonna see aliens or not? I'm excited. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have read any of those books and what you thought about them. Don't forget to subscribe and not miss any future videos, and give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.